Let's now take a look at rules of inference. Many times when you are talking in plain English and you are having a conversation with a friend, we use arguments. And often we use them to convince somebody to do something. So what is behind these arguments, and how can these arguments be valid? Many times people come up with arguments that are not valid. And how can you prove the validity of these arguments? First of all, an argument is a list of statements. So this list of statements, you can link them with an AND. So statement 1 and statement 2 and statement 3 and so on. And if all of these statements are true, then you can conclude something about this argument. Let's take a look. We have a very simple argument here. If I study hard, then I will pass this course. That's the first statement. The second statement is I study hard. If both of these statements are true, I can conclude that I will pass this course. What happens if one of these two statements is false? You see that if I don't study hard, then I have no guarantee that I will pass the course, right? I may or may not pass the course, but now the argument is not valid anymore. So for the argument to be valid, this statement and this statement have to be true to be able to conclude that. So we have now what we call an argument form. An argument form is a way of translating something that you are saying in plain English into a mathematical representation. So here we have an example of an argument form, and this is the equivalent of what the example we used before. We say, if I study hard, that is P, then I will pass the course, that's Q. Okay, so we have an implication, P implies Q, and then we have that I study hard. We conclude that I will pass this course. So when you are translating from English to a mathematical representation of an argument, you can assign any variables that you want. That's not going to change the outcome. Okay? So if you show that the argument form is valid, you're actually showing that its plain English form is also valid. So there are the rules of inference for propositional logic. The basic rules are this. The first one is modus ponens, and we just talked about this. The order is inverted as compared to the previous example, but we were saying that P was if I study hard, and Q was I would pass this course. This is actually a modus ponens. And then we have the modus tollens. P implies Q, not Q, then you can conclude that not P. So if you say, if I study hard, I will pass this course. I did not pass this course. You can conclude that I did not study hard. Red flag. Here's a red flag, a very common mistake. There's a fallacy that many people fall into. If you say P implies Q and then you say not P, and then they conclude not Q, that's not necessarily true. You can prove this by building the truth tables for P implies Q, not P, concluding not Q. You will see that that argument is not valid. Then we have the disjunctive syllogism. I study hard, or I will pass the course. I don't study hard. You can conclude that I pass the course. That's okay. The hypothetical syllogism. Also called the chain rule. So let's say you have, if I study hard, I will do well in the exams, and then you say, if I do well in the exams, I will pass the course. You can conclude that if I study hard, I will pass the course. Resolution. So we'll say, I study hard, or I will do well on the exams. The next argument says, I don't study hard, or I will pass the course. You can conclude that I do well on the exams, or I will pass this course. Then you have the addition, P. So if you have P, you can conclude that P or Q. So if you say, so Ottawa is the capital of Canada, then you can conclude Ottawa is the capital of Canada, or the moon is made of cheese, right? So that's addition. If you have a true statement, you can or that statement with whatever, it doesn't matter, because you already know P is true. The argument is true. Simplification. You know that P and Q are true. You can conclude either P or Q. Conjunction. PQ, you can add them together. That's basically just a definition of an argument. So with these 8 simple rules, we should be able to prove the validity of arguments. And you can try with your friends, or when you talk to a family member or somebody, and then you start talking about an argument, a conversation on an argument, and then this conversation is composed of some friendly arguments, and you can translate these arguments into variables, and then check whether the arguments are valid or not.